Next year, the eyes of the gymnastics world will be on Paris, home of the 2024 Olympic Games. And gymnasts across the U.S. are hoping to be there. For some of them, that journey begins in Louisville, Kentucky, where athletes are competing this weekend to stake their claim as one of those to watch. NBC Sports welcomes you to the 2023 USA Gymnastics Winter Cup. Freedom Hall in Louisville, Kentucky, the site. So many names trying to get into the mix, and that lead up to the Paris Olympics. And it starts right here. Terry Gannon along with Sam Pescic, part of that Olympic team silver for the U.S. in 2008. John Roethlisberger as well, the four-time U.S. all-around champ. And the meet underway. Sam, certainly a time right now to put your name there and get noticed.
Absolutely, and I think what's interesting about this competition is you're going to see a lot of new faces here. They have been working behind the scenes. They're not new in the gymnastics world, but they're looking to make a name for themselves, and they're looking to gain competition experience. They want to make international assignments. Some of them are trying to qualify to championships, and most of them want to make an impact to the selection committee for future events.
It is a qualifier for the U.S. Championships later this year. Go out to the balance beam and start with Lexi Zeiss, the 17-year-old from Omaha, Nebraska, who really did make a name for herself last year. It was a breakthrough season in 2022, was an alternate for the World Championship team and other World Championships in which the U.S. women won the team gold. But Pan American Championships is it really started. Three-time medalists there, including a second-place finish in the individual all-around. So Lexi Zeiss, Skye Blakely, another name that we will see today in a couple of the events. And those names may be known certainly to gymnastics fans, but across the U.S. at this point, if you pay attention at all, others trying to leave here this weekend with people knowing their names.
Yeah, absolutely. And that qualifying score to championships is a 51. So to break it down, that's a 12.75 average across the board. That's what they're looking for here in today.
So it's not necessarily about placements. It is that score that you've got to reach to qualify. Absolutely.
It's that score and also making an impact with high difficulty, high execution to prove to the selection committee that these athletes are ready for those international assignments.
Sarah Jancy, your coach, and Lexi Zeiss getting set for her routine on beam.
I had a chance to speak with her earlier this week, and man, she was a joy to talk to, extremely mature, and she told me one of her pre-meet rituals before she salutes, she needs a hug from her coach. I just saw they had that hug exchange, so she's ready to go. Starting off strong with a back handspring layout. I like how sharp her movements get down after that skill. Now this skill right here is new for her. It's a triple wolf turn. Oh, looks like she just did the double here today. Again, it's early in this elite season, so some of the upgrades they originally planned may have changed slightly depending on how practice has gone. You can see how strong that mental choreography is. She's actually talking herself through this routine. She told me just how important working with her sports psychologist has been to her success here in the competition. Whoop. Like to see her push harder out of that bottom leg to get complete flip on that front aerial. She's finishing with a double pike, and this is an upgraded dismount for her. And a good job from Lexi Zeiss. She put it together. It was not perfect, and she's not trying to be perfect this early in the season, but she should be happy with that one.
17-year-old, big Nebraska football fan. They actually train. We'll have more on that, but they had to go from Minnesota to Nebraska to train, get out of Minnesota before the bad weather hit. It was not easy to find a gym to train in. Skye Blakely next, 18-year-old, Frisco, Texas. Too young initially to compete at the Tokyo Olympics once they were pushed back because of the pandemic. She was able to try to qualify, but that elbow injury took her out. This took place, her routine on uneven bars, short time ago.
She starts this routine off so strong, and you're going to notice just how clean this routine is. Her legs are together. She gets full vertical in those handstands. New combination for her. Release move down to the low bar. Here's where we're seeing a little bit of problem. Looks like she just got stuck in the twist position. Tried to do a kip, but broke the rhythm just a little bit. It is so hard to get your momentum back up for the dismount. You can see that's probably why she had a little stumble on the landing there.
Came back off that elbow injury last year, Sam, and made it to the World Championships, part of that team there at Worlds with so much success.
She did, and she even added some routine construction. Here's that new combination that's called a downy. Two-time Olympian from Great Britain first did that skill. I asked her how long it took her to learn this combination, and she said only 1 day. Only 1 day.
Come on now.
Extremely difficult combination. That just speaks to how athletic Skye Blakely is. Again, didn't quite get the turnover she needed there on the dismount, and you could see it on her face. She's a little disappointed. She knew exactly what went wrong when her feet landed.
Get the scores in a moment. For more breakdown of the scoring here, we join John Roethlisberger. John?
Thanks, Terry. As we all know, gymnastics scoring can be very complicated. Many of us watching at home can be befuddled at times. So we're going to try to keep it extremely simple. Gymnastics scores are comprised of 2 parts: difficulty and execution. Let's start with the execution portion of the score, this number right there. Each gymnast starts from a 10.0. All the deductions come out of that 10.0 for things like steps on the landing, falls from the apparatus, form breaks. Whatever's left is the execution score. If you want to know what a good execution score, Alicia Sacramone-Quinn, high performance director for USA Gymnastics, told me their goal is to get an 8.0 or above execution score. So keep that in mind. So you take that execution score, you add it to the difficulty score, this number right there. To get the difficulty score for all these athletes, keeping it very simple, they add up the values of the 8 most difficult skills that the gymnast does. They get those together, they add it to the execution score, and that's how you end up with this number right there. So keep that in mind. I know it's complicated, but Terry, don't worry. The next segment, we're going to do something easy like invent time travel. Back
there you go. I like it. And that's your job to do just that as we continue. So the green, the yellow, and the red helps out as well. 13.15 on uneven bars, and she'll be competing on bars and beam. That's it. So won't be in the mix for the overall title. Lexi Zeiss, 13.1.
It was a good score, and it's a routine she's looking to improve. We saw a few wobbles there at the end. She's going to want to clean up.
She almost forgot about the hug.
Hey, it's important for her. She has to have it or else she can't complete. Sarah almost forgot last championships. It was almost detrimental.
So solid start for Lexi Zeiss here in Louisville. The 2023 Winter Cup is brought to you by Prevagen. By Angie. Angie's List is now Angie. For home projects big and small, get the Angie app today. And by Wayfair. Chilly the last couple of days here in Louisville, right along the river. So 1 rotation in the books early on here, just getting things started. Nola Matthews, the 16-year-old from Gilroy, California, is the current leader. But 3 more rotations still to come from the Winter Cup here in Louisville. Terry Gannon, Sam Pesek, John Roethlisberger back with you from Louisville. Winter Cup action underway in the start of the 2nd rotation with the 18-year-old who was born in Columbus, Mississippi, trains, there you go, Laurent Landy, Cecile Landy at World Champions Gym in Spring, Texas, home of Simone Biles. Amari Drayton, here we go.
You're going to see the same routine she had in 2021, although she's working a new dismount. She's not quite ready for that yet. Wants to put a clean routine here. Nice handstand positions. Good distance away from the bar on the catch there on that release move. Oh, wow. That was a little bit shocking. Her grips looked like they were totally over the bar. She's taking a big deep breath. And this is a really big test, especially this early in the elite season. If there is a mistake, how are these athletes going to recover from them? Can they pick up the momentum? It's a lot of mental toughness that we want to see from her right now. Good pack salto. Great job finishing the rest of this bar routine. Just finishing with that double tuck. Of course, she told me she was planning to upgrade that dismount, and a little disappointment there, but I like how she finished the rest of the routine.
It is a test that you're going to face as a gymnast, right? So to go through that, learn how to do it, collect your thoughts.
Oh, absolutely. We talk about this being a physical sport, but if you ask any athlete or any gymnast, it's much more of a mental sport, and it tests you every single day. Here it is. She goes for that. It's called a Rikna. Again, it just looked like she slipped off the bar. You can see her hands are completely over it. She was a little close. She wasn't as high above the bar as she typically is, but I like to say that's a catchable release move.
Missed all of 2022 with stress fractures in her shins. Comeback continues here. Got a moment? Send it over to John.
Thanks, Terry. Well, gymnastics fans watching from home, you're probably wondering where those household names are, the ones you saw competing in Tokyo, the ones you maybe saw at the last year's World Championships. Well, a number of them, they're competing a collegiate season. The Olympic champion, you saw her win gold in Tokyo, Suni Lee, she is competing for Auburn University. She has had a heck of a season. She plans on being back at the U.S. Championships this summer. Jordan Chiles, she's competing for UCLA. She was at the last World Championships as well as the Tokyo Olympics. She's going to be back. Jade Carey's competing for Oregon State. All three of these athletes having incredible collegiate seasons, as well as Leanne Wong, who was on last year's World Championship team, helped them win gold. She is at Florida. And her teammate, Kayla DiCello, she is also a world all-around medalist, has not ruled out competing elite again. We're going to have to keep an eye on all those athletes. They should be back this summer. But you're probably wondering, what about Simone Biles? Everybody wants to know, will Simone come back? Well, I talked to Laurent Landy, Simone's coach, and he was very evasive. Wouldn't say that she's coming back. Says she does come in the gym, kind of plays around a little bit, but mostly comes in to see the other gymnasts. He said if she does come back, she needs to do it for her. But Gabby Douglas has also been in the conversations lately, and the word is that she is at WOGA and she has been training. There is no official word about a comeback, but I did talk to Valerie Lukin before the competition, and he said she's in the gym, she's working very hard. There's a lot of talk about 2024 in Paris, but nothing official yet. Terry?
Interesting times in gymnastics right now. So much has changed. The way things are done. Chelsea Memel there, part of those making decisions for the USA Gymnastics. Now, Connor McClain, the U.S. all-around champ, out with a back injury. Coaches told us she's going to come back, start training in the upcoming week. So many names that will factor in that aren't competing here, but those here trying to join that list.
Which is why it's so important for these new faces to make an impact in today's competition. They want to make a splash without those bigger names that we talked about in college, but I can tell you it is tough to sit there and be Connor McClain and not get the opportunity to compete. These athletes love being in the competition. They love competing, so having her sit out, you know she's itching to get back.
So we saw Skye Blakely on uneven bars earlier in the first rotation. Here she is on beam, rotation 2.
Of course, she's only doing these 2 events. Starting off with that wolf turn. And again, she had a couple hiccups on bars, so I know she's looking to hit a solid set to feel good here in this competition. But watch this, it's a huge standing full.
Whoa.
Little wobble there at the end, but when she landed, her chest was vertical, and that is so difficult to do. Unique series for handspring front toss, and you know, she's not looking as solid as we've seen, and this is the first elite competition of 2023, and there's not as many opportunities for these elite competitors to compete as maybe college athletes or the developmental program. So they're getting their feet wet, reminding themselves what it feels like to have those nerves, to have this extra adrenaline, and looking to settle in here. Yeah, and you can tell it looks like she's just in her head a little bit. This dismount, ooh, one more skill. Her dismount coming up is an upgrade. Doing a double pike from a double tuck. You know, not only getting your feet wet, but also trying out some of these upgrades here, and it's good to see that she hit the new skill in her routine.
Only competing on the beam and uneven bars because of an Achilles injury. It's been bothering her as of late. When you think about the opportunities at the highest level on this stage, they're few and far between now and 2024. I mean, a little more than a handful, that's it.
That's why it's so important to take all of these opportunities and treat it very seriously. And you can tell by the look on their faces before they salute, they do. They put themselves in the pressure situations in the gym, but there's not that much that can simulate this podium and these judges and, of course, the fans here.
Skye committed to compete for Florida, the Gators, but not until after the Olympics.
All right, check this out. Standing full. She had her eyes at the end of the beam, which I love, but it looks like she just didn't squeeze her legs enough before she stood all the way up. Here's that new skill, round off, double pike dismount. Good positioning there, just to step on the dismount, minimal deductions. Here's that standing full. It's so impressive. Look how high she is off the beam, finishes the flip and the twist way before her feet get the ground, and you see that front foot just moving ever so slightly. I'd like to see her absorb the landing there, and usually I call that a nervous mistake. She could have easily just stood up and squeezed, and sometimes if you have a little extra nerves in you, it's hard to do.
Talk about what went right, what went wrong with your coaches. I'm sure go back, watch the videotape, learn from that, and look ahead to the future as we continue from Louisville. Back with a 16-year-old from Allen, Texas, Caitlyn Zhong, getting ready on floor. Second season on the senior level as an elite gymnast. U.S. Junior all-around champ from 2021.
She's an athlete that's extremely powerful. She told me that she's really working on extending her movements and increasing the artistry. A little shy on that double-double to get things going. Finishing up her last pass here, double pike. She said she felt a little behind on training because of an ankle injury she had last year. She said, I rolled it not once, but twice, so it kept me out for a month. Looking like she's still practicing that endurance and, of course, the landings on her tumbling.
Committed to compete at Auburn, but not just yet. Trying to make that Olympic team, 16-year-old Caitlyn Zhong.
Hey, we're always ready.
We'll get the numbers in a moment. How about the numbers for Skye Blakely? There you go, the penalty, 13.4 overall. John, can you break that down?
I certainly can try, Terry. And one of the things that the judges are looking for on beam is the angles of the legs on the split leaps. And gymnasts will do multiple split leaps throughout a routine, and it's really important that they reach a degree of 180. So legs need to be perfectly flat. Let's back that up a little bit. At the height of her split leap, right there, if you look at it, it needs to be perfectly level. You see the front foot up a little bit, back foot down a little bit. Anything lower than 180, they get that first 20 degrees is going to be 1/10 off. The next 20 to 45 is going to be 3/10 in deduction. So that's just one of those things that throughout a routine, it doesn't look like there's an error. It looks perfect, but those are the types of things that the judges are looking for.
So you used a protractor for that. Judges got the protractor out?
She's like, what?
They'd probably love to have a protractor. It might help their objectivity a little bit too.
Speaking from a gymnast point of view, they should not have a protractor. Sometimes you got to finesse those leaps, finesse the landings just a little bit.
You missed it. He went after the judges. Many years of them holding him accountable. You did all right, John. Don't worry about it. That's how precise it is, though. I mean, how often do you go back and look at these routines as a gymnast and break that down?
Oh, all the time. You film yourself in the gym. A lot of them have systems where you can record yourself in real time and watch it back in slow motion just to see every single angle of every skill. This is high-level competition, so they're already so good with their technique. So when things go wrong, you have to break it down to that small of a scale.
Back to beam we go with the 15-year-old from Yorktown, Virginia, Bryn Tory. High school student, Laurel Springs High School.
Starting off with a wolf turn, had a little bit of trouble there. It's always so nerve-wracking, Terry, to have a wobble on your first skill on beam. In your head, you want to just be like, ugh, darn. So the goal for her now is to try and forget about that. Ooh, because you don't want that first mistake to turn into multiple, which of course we saw a little wobble there. And a broken connection. And sometimes when you get too much in your head, this is absolutely a mental event, the most mental of all four. And it's really tough to get back on track if you start having those negative thoughts during your routine. Ugh. But again, you know, the thing to learn from here is it's an opportunity. It's a competitive opportunity to be in this high-level competition to see how she responds. And I'm going to guess she's going back to the drawing board.
Sam, obviously, and we've seen it earlier here, you've got to adjust. Once you've made a mistake, get back up on the beam, for example. We saw it on bars earlier. But your visualization, I know athletes visualize a great routine. Do you ever visualize picking up a routine?
You know, you don't, except when you're in the gym and you have a mistake, a lot of the times you have to finish just in case situations like this happen. And I think it's important to point out for the athletes that don't have as much experience competing on podium, that's the raised surface. It actually makes the balance beam a little bit bouncier and adds a new challenge there.
Let's get the numbers for Bryn Tory, the 15-year-old from Virginia. Caitlyn Zhong for floor, 12.7 here at Winter Cup. Second rotation continues here at the Winter Cup in Louisville. Lexi Zeiss with saw her on beam in 9th place after one rotation. John, it wasn't even easy to get here for her and her teammates.
No, you know, I'm from Minnesota, and I also trained at TCT. I've been in a lot of February snowstorms in Minnesota, and they decided with the one coming in recently, they needed to get out of town to make sure they could make it to this meet. So they went to Nebraska. They tried to train at the University of Nebraska, but unfortunately NCAA rules prohibited that. They found a couple of gyms locally to train in, and again, not ideal situation when you're used to your own gym, but they were there. Then they came in here and had podium training a couple days ago. It was a little rough getting things going, so it's not been a smooth ride here to the Winter Cup.
Yeah, John, but she had a little bit of trouble on that double layout in touch and no problems here. So again, that mental game we're seeing from Lexi is really an asset for her. Lexi was an alternate for the 2022 World Championship team that won a gold medal, and of course she wants to compete this year, but you still have to be routine ready when you're at those competitions as an alternate. So Sarah Janzi told me they haven't had as much downtime as they typically do to be up for this competition here. It was a good routine. again, we're gonna say this a lot today. It was good. She has more in the tank. It could be better, but she's getting her feet back wet to this competition.
So they went to Nebraska, actually stayed at Lexi's house while they were there. So they couldn't find a gym, but they had a nice place to stay.
Yeah, they had a sleepover. It looked like they had a great time.
Caitlyn Rosen, Miller, also training mates from Minnesota. Eventually did make it here. Sarah Jancy hugged before and a high five after. It is that time of the year, though. You're right. You're working things out. You're getting answers to questions at this point, not necessarily perfecting things.
And you're seeing how you handle the adrenaline and the pressure of a competition. It looked like for her, it was needing a little bit more confidence on those landings. So you better believe they're taking stock in that and gonna add some extra reps specifically for that issue back in the gym.
Over to uneven bars, Addison Fata, the 18-year-old from Wrightsville, Pennsylvania, coached by her parents, trains at their gym, senior in high school, planning to attend Oklahoma. Top 10 finish at the U.S. Championships in the all-around last year.
Big piked Jaeger release move to get things going for Addison. That full pirouette on top of the bar. Really want to see that in the vertical position. She was slightly over. That's the biggest deduction I've seen in this routine so far. Her mom, who is also her coach, told me that she has an extra motivation since she got a couple international assignments, and there's just been a new spark in the way that she trains and the way that she's been lighting up in the gym.
Not only a confidence boost, but you kind of take stock of where you are in the gymnastics world in terms of your assignments.
Yep, you do, and it shows how you stack up internationally with those judges, which are slightly different. Their perspective, of course, it's a subjective sport. So depending on what their eye is looking for, which my guess and my experience tells me it's a lot of artistry. We're gonna be talking about that as a common theme throughout this competition as well.
So, just completed a bar routine. Closer look from John.
Yeah, Terry, one of the things on the uneven bars that people look for are the handstand positions, and this is where you can lose a lot of points. So where she finishes this handstand, right when she gets her hands on, you can see how far past the vertical she is. 0 to 10, you get a free 10 degrees, no deductions, but then 10 to 30, that's 1/10. Over 30 to 45, that's 3, but look where she is. This can be as much as a 5/10 deduction for as low as she is. Those things add up on bars and are things that you normally don't see unless you have that judge's eye.
Happens quickly, John. But judges an opportunity to catch those. Go back and look. Lexi Zeiss on floor. 13.15. What'd you say? 12.75 is the average for the four apparatus to make the total?
It's definitely in the middle range there. We saw some stumbles out of her passes, but she's been working really hard on that artistry and execution in the gym.
In terms of making the championships, total of 51 for the 4 different events that USA Gymnastics is looking for. Addison Fata, uneven bars, 12.95 the total. So it's the 17-year-old who trains in Spring, Texas now, Zoe Miller, getting set to go. Is committed to LSU after she graduates from high school. May defer a year, as a number of athletes might, until the Olympics roll around.
She just came back from an injury, so she said she wished she had more numbers, but again, they're using these competitions as extra practice in the gym. Good save there on the handstand. Beautiful Jaeger. Huge release move combination there. I asked her, what's a successful bar routine to you? And she said, getting all my connections, hitting all my handstands, good forms, and high shoulders on the landing. Let's see if she can do that here on the dismount. I'd say it was a pretty solid routine.
Solid, and it was on this event, the uneven bars at the Pan American Championships, where she won the silver medal in 2022, coming back off of a back injury.
I know.
She rushed the timing of that routine, which is why she was shaking her head. Let's check out this dismount again. She's doing a double layout. It looked like she actually let go a smidge too early, but keeps the shape well. When her feet land, you can see her shoulders are high there on the landing. You want the shoulders to be high enough in the vertical position so the judges do not take a deduction for that.
Okay, well, we will at the gym, but not today. I get it.
You heard her coach said, we'll work on it at the gym, but not today.
I was trying to listen in, so we'll get to it, but I mean, it's always been complicated, this scoring and the judging, everything else, but it just seems to continue to go that way.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. These athletes, this competition here is not the end result to them. It's a long year. They're working on classics and championships, hopefully world championships, or even some international assignments. But for most of these athletes in the competition, it's a stepping stone to hopefully making that Olympic team.
Was overuse, that stress fracture in her back last year that took her away from competition. So we take you over to the 17-year-old from Boerne, Texas, Caitlyn Rosen. Part of that team that competes, is trained by Sarah Jancy and based in Minnesota.
Yeah, I gotta say, I am really looking forward to this floor routine. I spoke to Chelsea Mimmel and she said, at the last camp, we all stood up and clapped because this is the gold standard of artistry they're looking for in our country.
Floor exercise champ at the U.S. Classic in 2022.
Much better on that second pass, but landed both feet out of bounds on the double layout there. What makes this routine special is this artistry right there. It is an overall performance, and that's the big shift here in this elite competition that all the athletes, all the coaches are talking about. Finishing, good double back, minimal deductions there. When I say artistry, what they're looking for is extension, rhythm changes, facial engagement with the judges, and Caitlyn has all of those in her dance.
Had a really good day one at the U.S. Championships last year, but then struggled a bit on day two.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, okay.
Second trip to Winter Cup, this event. Zoe Miller, all right, 13.9 for that uneven bars routine. So Tiana Sumanasekera, remember that name, just getting to know her. She's 15 years old from Pleasanton, California. Certainly one of those that people are talking about here. A few moments ago, the routine on uneven bars.
And she really switched to world champions to improve this event right here. It's a completely new routine. She told me this event has been her biggest struggle, but since she's been out with an injury, she's been able to put in that extra work. Nice combination work there. It looks like she's fighting that rhythm a little bit. I'd like to see her use the swing of the bar to help push her through this routine. But she has improved so much on this event, and I think that's a trend we're going to continue to see with Tiana. Finishing tucked full in, and great routine. You see smiles all around there. It's a big improvement for her, and I can't wait to see her when she's back in the all-around.
Laurent Landy, very good in terms of coaching that part of that decision to go to them. The Landys, Tiana
even though it's a yellow is the color we're seeing right there, it's a big positive step for Tiana, because this was a point of emphasis for that improvement on bars for her.
So bars and beam, the two events for her because of that ankle injury. Won't do all four. Caitlyn Rosen, 12-7 for what we on on floor. As we take you over to Charlotte Booth, the 16-year-old from Claremont, Florida. Second season at the senior level as an elite gymnast.
And this is also another good routine to showcase good artistry. Check out her rhythm, her presentation throughout this routine. It really makes it stand out. Starting with a front double fold. She's doing easier passes on floor because the injuries that she's had to overcome, but the goal for her is that she wants to make up the difference in her leaps. This is a new skill for her. She told me, I'm doing a new double leg up turn, and I had to correct her, Terry. I told her it's actually called the Memel. So Chelsea Memel standing right there watching her do her skill. How special.
In attendance, yep.
Big double pike, and we saw another out of bounds there. Both feet. Again, we talk about adjusting to the equipment, and because of the podium, it actually makes all the apparatus slightly bouncier. So you have to control that when you're running for the last pass.
Seen her compete at the U.S. Championships and junior bronze medalist on bars back in 2021. Will continue to get the number eventually for Charlotte Booth after the floor routine through 2 rotations here in Louisville. Back with a reminder, alpine skiing returns as Olympic medalist Ryan Cochran-Siegel heads to Aspen, Colorado for the Stiefel Americas Downhill. Comes your way March 4th and 5th on CNBC. Good shot of downtown Louisville. Winter Cup continues through a couple of rotations. Zoe Miller is the leader by a half a point here. So 2 more rotations to go. Terry Gannon back with Sam Pescic. Remember the first time you competed on national TV?
Oh,
and what that was like?
So much fun, Terry. You love to compete. This is what you train all year for, competing and showing how hard you work in the gym to all these fans here.
That's what they're going through. A number of, not all, certainly. We know some of the names out here. We've seen them compete at this level before, but there are young gymnasts who are trying to take that leap onto the higher stage and be a part of the mix. Impression so far of what you've seen?
Well, we're seeing a lot of nervous mistakes. They're doing some new skills for the first time. They're also competing, like you mentioned, on this stage with TV for the first time. So a lot of that is gaining that competition confidence out here in this field today. Fairly
early in the season, too, as we got another year. You got the U.S. Classic, the U.S. National Championships, high-level events, and this is one of them. Zoe Miller, the lead so far. 2 more rotations to go at the Winter Cup from Louisville. Winter Cup continues. The men got their turn in the all-around yesterday. Yul Moldauer came in as certainly one of the favorites. Johnny didn't disappoint.
Moldauer came in with a chip on his shoulder. He was the alternate at the World Championships in the fall, and I'll be honest, he was not happy about it. He wanted to compete, and it looks like it put a fire in his belly. From start to finish in the men's competition, he was sharp and ready to go and won the Winter Cup all-around title.
Fred Richard, Asher Hong also in the top 3, but Yul Moldauer the top spot. How about the Nastia Lukin Cup, the 14th edition of this, taking place last night? Some of the stars we'll see from this point forward.
Well, you're not going to believe this, but it was a fierce competition from start to finish, and there was a tie in that top all-around spot. This is Caitlyn Zhong, one of the all-around winners. She was bringing the difficulty. She had her game face on and was focusing on the details. This is Avery Neff the co-champion. She's going to Utah. Caitlyn's going to LSU. So these are two faces that we're going to see a lot of in the college scene coming up. They're preparing for that, and really the cherry on top of an amazing developmental career for them.
Talk about athletes going to college now. While they're an elite gymnast, the NIL having something to do with that, the name, image, and likeness certainly, but changing landscape. By the way, don't miss a moment. You've got the USA Gymnastics YouTube channel bringing it all to you. How about the juniors, too? That's taking place here this weekend.
Oh, yeah, and Addie Fulcher is the junior Nastia Lukin champion, and this is a name you're gonna want to remember. She is the only athlete in this Nastia Lukin Cup that's competing in the elite competition tomorrow. So she is double dipping this weekend, hoping to have as much success in that competition as she had here.
Yeah, the action continues through tomorrow. USA Gymnastics YouTube channel. You get the elite men's competition, uploads of all the women's routines, Nastia Lukin Cup, Elite Team Cup, all streaming free on the USA Gymnastics YouTube channel. Much more with us, though, this afternoon here on NBC. 2 more rotations to go. And Lexi Zeiss in 6th place after the 2nd rotation. Going to go over to vault. High-scoring event. Chance to jump up. Zoe Miller with the lead. Amelia Disidori in 2nd. Addison Fata in 3rd right now, the top 3. So not every gymnast competing in all 4 of the apparatus, but those who are, a chance to win the all-around title here.
Lexi Zeiss, we have had an opportunity to watch her train the last couple of days, and very uncharacteristic. She's had some trouble on her vault. Yurchenko double full. Her head coach, Sarah Jancy, told me that they actually just switched the springboard this morning. And so they have an option for 5 springs or 8 springs. They were using the 5 springs. It wasn't working for her. So they switched it and they put 8 springs in. That's gonna make her bounce a little bit quicker off that board, get a little bit more dynamic off the table, hopefully enough to put it to her feet. I saw her make some this morning and it was trending in a positive direction for her.
Gonna do 1 vault here. Lexi Zeiss, 17 years of age from Omaha.
Wow, that was by far the best vault I've seen from her the last couple of days, and it really just proves she is a gamer.
Talked about her and her training mates. With more, we join John Roethlisberger.
Twin City Twisters, this meet is more than just about doing great gymnastics. They are competing for Team Brax. Team Brax is in honor of Braxton Battaglia, a 13-year-old level 7 gymnast from their gym, who for much of the last 3 years has been in a fight against leukemia. They thought she had it beat, but unfortunately this past fall, it came back. The elite gymnasts from TCT have dedicated this meet to her. They had special leotards made, and I was told before the competition today by Sarah Jancy, the head coach of TCT, that Braxton's at home watching today with her matching leotard and warm-up. And if you're on Braxton's webpage, it doesn't take you long to realize she is a special kid. She posted, "I only have one option, and that's to beat leukemia." And she finished the post with just 3 words: "I got this." Back to you, Terry.
Perspective, John, perspective. Braxton, we sent out her best, certainly. We'll wait for the number for Lexi Zeiss. And that vault. 13.45. What do you make of that?
Yeah, you're seeing that red score there, and of course we'd like to see her chest up more on the landing. She had some form deductions certainly in the air, but again, based off of what she was doing in the practice, she's certainly happy with that. The difficulty score is a 5.0 and the execution score is 8.45. Remember, we said that the national team staff is looking for a 9.0 execution, so she's gonna wanna improve that in the air.
Come on, Kate. You got this. Come on.
So over to Nola Matthews, 16-year-old from Gilroy, California. 2nd season at the elite level on the senior. An impressive debut at Winter Cup in 2022. She won the uneven bars. And that's where we go right now. She's currently in the top 5. So she's in 5th place. Good position here with 2 rotations left.
What you're gonna notice about her bar routine is her lines. She is so beautiful to watch. good, straight, stretched body in her handstands. And that's really what stands out, especially on this event.
Won this at Winter Classic, or the Winter Cup, I should say, and then second at the U.S. Classic, and fourth at the U.S. Championship. Certainly an event that she looks forward to. 13th in the all-around at the U.S. Championships. You going through your routine in your head right now?
Yeah, you're taking a big, deep breath, and the mental choreography is just as important as the physical components of this routine. And since this is the first meet of the season, you're kind of testing out your mental cues before you salute. Sometimes they're solidified, and athletes keep them from by the time they're 7 years old all the way to this stage. And sometimes you're an athlete that likes to switch them up every year. So she's taking a deep breath, remembering those small connections, and hopefully thinking about how great she's going to do on this bar routine, frankly.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
That's what she's thinking.
That is what she's thinking. Chelsea Memel, high performance director, said that they're looking for execution, they're looking for swing, and they're looking for the angles. She said, you know, angles is a big one because the deductions are 1/10 deduction, 3/10, or 5. They are not very forgiving, so that's why these athletes are trying to be as perfect as possible. Good release move to get things started for Nola. 2 off the back, into that back salto combination. She's doing a good job keeping up with the rhythm, using that momentum here. Just the dismount, and a really nice routine from Nola. You know, it's interesting, Terry. We're seeing good stuff. Of course, all of these athletes can do better, but when they land, you almost see them disappointed every single time because that's what their level of expectation is for themselves. They're always striving to be better. They know this is not the end result for them.
And it's got to feel like a sprint at times, but it is a marathon.
It is, and it's tough because every meet, every routine, every skill feels like such a big deal in the moment, but when you take a step back, your sights are set on bigger things.
So over to beam, Tiana Sumanasekera, the 15-year-old from Pleasanton, California, who saw a little bit earlier. Senior debut here at this Winter Cup.
Things that I look for on this event are those arm positions, the artistry, and the solid landings after each skill. Do they look confident from start to finish? Triple series, really difficult, had a wobble there, but pulled it back on nicely. We saw her on bars, and we talk about the improvement she's had on that event. Well, this event beam is an area where she's already been really confident, and you can see that in her movements. Good connections here. For someone this is their first senior competition, she really doesn't look like it. Obviously had a wobble there, but covered it up so nicely, almost like she's been a veteran. Her goal is to get international assignments this year. Her goal is to compete at World Championships. She's only doing 2 events here, but it's a great opportunity for her to get as high a score as possible to show how productive she could be on the international stage, and a good routine from Tiana.
Nola Matthews' number for the uneven bar routine, 13.45. So a lot of what we're seeing in that yellow range.
Yeah, it's early in the year. They're still working the kinks out on the new combinations and the new difficulty, and that's what's showing up in the scores.
Amelia Disidori, the 16-year-old from Overland Park, Kansas, and Been successful so far. After 2 rotations, right there in 2nd place, just a half a point back.
Huge release move to start things off. You can see just how high she got off the bar. Perfect distance away to catch there. Nice pack salto. Ooh, missed that pirouette. You want to finish in the vertical positions. You know, at the beginning of the routine, what I noticed is that she was catching such a perfect distance away from the bar. And the reason that's important is because it helps the flow of the routine and it helps you continue the rhythm and the momentum. You see that when she had a little mistake on the pirouette, it was really hard to pick up that swing, pick up that momentum, and of course the one mistake turned into 2.
Every gymnast likes the bars a little different. They've gotten better and better at setting those bars, haven't they?
They have. USA Gymnastics has invested in a digital tension system. So most people are setting their bars so it can be a little bit more accurate. They've been doing this in Europe for a while, and this is the first competition where they're using that system here.
Twin sister Gabby also competing here at Winter Cup. Yeah, see the disappointment in her face. Amelia Disidori, the 16-year-old from Overland Park, Kansas, who we saw at the U.S. Championships this last year, 10th in the all-around at the U.S. Classic. Sumanasekera, even 13 for Beam.
Yeah, we'd like to see that execution score improve, and it's something that I think she's capable of.
So back to Beam and Addison Fata, the 18-year-old from Pennsylvania now.
We're also going to see some new elements from Addison. Last year, her start value really depended on her connections, but her mom, her coach, she told me that she's the kind of gymnast that needs reliable connections. I'll point those out to you. Triple wolf turn. Incredibly difficult right at the beginning of your routine, especially. Here's that back layout, back layout. That's new for her. Oh. Sometimes when you get a little nervous, you rush your skills. You rush that last flip. I saw that's what happened to her and didn't quite get enough height she needed to land the last layout step out. Looks like she's really settled into this routine. Again, after a mistake, it can go one or two ways. You can really show your grit and show that how determined you are to make the rest of your routine, but easier said than done because it's so hard to shift your mindset from being frustrated into really a growth mindset of, okay, I gotta switch gears and do the best I can here. New dismount for her. This is a round off 2.5. Upgraded from the double. Oh. And it looks like she just doesn't have the numbers there to have the confidence to make it in the competitions yet.
It was a great look at how difficult it is. I mean, we take it for granted. You do. I don't. You take it for granted watching these routines, but it is so difficult. I mean, coming right at you, trying to actually land on that beam and then dismount.
It is truly so difficult. That's why you have to do a million skills, Terry, to practice.
Disidori, disappointing effort on the uneven bars. 11-3 as we continue from Winter Cup in a moment. So you're looking at the leader after 2 rotations here at the Winter Cup in Louisville. Zoe Miller, the 17-year-old who trains in Spring, Texas, was born in Hartford and big opportunity now in the final 2 rotations.
Yeah, it's going well for her. She had a stress fracture in her back for overuse, so she's only been training fully since October. And she told me that even though it was a physical injury, it actually affected her more mentally. You know, she was training, and you always have that fear that you're never going to come back as strong as you once were. And she said that was really difficult for her. But once she started to prove to herself, okay, I can do these skills and actually do them better, then she started to gain that confidence again.
But there are highs and lows. At the Winter Cup in 2022, 14th place in the individual all-around disappointing. Came back really strong at the Pan American Championships. Second in the team event. Uneven bars, she was second as well. So it's not a straight line, that journey to wherever you're trying to get to.
Yeah, incredible mental strength for her to come back. And she said that that's why this meet is really important to her specifically, because a couple of months ago, she didn't think she'd be ready enough to compete. So I would imagine that putting a good meet together and possibly winning this all around, I can't imagine what that's going to do for her confidence going into possibly international assignments or classics and championships later this summer.
And again, part of what they're doing here, USA Gymnastics, is deciding international assignments, your opportunities. Where do you get to compete against the best in the world? And you win this, finish in the top 3 perhaps, that changes things.
It does. She's making a name for herself, especially when you're out for an injury. A lot of these athletes that we're seeing took even a year off, couple months off. So getting back to this competition scene is really important to prove that you can still compete at a high level.
There we go. Even the start, I just marvel at. Sorry.
Only 4 inches, but they're really, the goal here is to move and flip just like you're on the ground. The key for that is always having your eyes at the end of the beam. It helps stay fit, stay focused, stay centered throughout this routine.
Is that something that is common among most gymnasts?
Yeah, having a good eyesight and clear focus. If you try to balance on one leg and you're spotting something that's moving, it's going to be much more difficult to balance than if you were looking and spotting at something that was not moving. That's the best analogy that I can think of. So they want to keep a strong eyesight even though their body is moving. And then another key component is those landings. So bending your knees, let's check it out, see if she can do it right here. You could see she stood up right away and had a little wobble there. Finishing handspring, double pike. She said she'd be pretty happy if she stayed on with minimal wobbles. So I think she did it. She had some wobbles. I don't know what her definition of minimal wobbles. Again, we see a head check. She knows she can do it much better. It's always so frustrating, Terry. You know this as an athlete. When you perform and you know that you could do it better, and unfortunately you don't get another opportunity for a little bit longer.
Oh yeah, competition. I mean, you can go back tomorrow in the gym and do it in practice, but why didn't I do that yesterday?
They do so many of these skills, so many of these routines every single day. So right when something goes wrong, usually what you say to yourself is, ugh, I knew I should have fixed that in the air. But you have milliseconds to really fix these adjustments. And she did a nice job fixing the adjustment. She didn't make it a big wobble. And this dismount, handspring, double pike, I'd like to see her get her chest up slightly higher there on the landing.
Were you one after mistakes to go right back as soon as you could to the gym to do that routine?
Oh, absolutely. You think about it until you can kind of redeem yourself in a competition. So she's going to go back in the gym. Sometimes it's easier to train when you have a little bit extra fire in your belly from a mistake.
Because some athletes, some coaches, across all sports, you got different routines, different ways of doing it. You might want to forget about it and put it out of your head and just move on. Others, no, they want to go right back into the gym and get it right.
Yeah, you only get one opportunity to make this beam routine. So what I wanted to do is almost tap the judges on the shoulder and say, can I just have a redo this one time? Because you know you could do it better.
John, what do you have?
Yeah, here's one of the things as as Sam is talking through these routines, you talk about chest up and chest down. And again, one of these little idiosyncrasies of gymnastics that the judges can take deductions, not just steps on the landing, but right there. If you can see her shoulders were down, if you back it up a little, you can see, stop right there, her shoulders right there. That is low. As she's landing, you need to be more vertical with your chest. That right there could be as much, believe it or not, as much as a half a point off just in the shoulders. That doesn't include the step forward. There's also an opening before you land deduction. So these landing deductions, they can add up quick.
Yeah, it's a deduction, John, but you and I both know when you take a landing like that, it also is a stinger. So you want to get your chest up so it doesn't hurt your ankles as bad as well.
It hurts the number and it hurts you physically.
It does. There's nothing good that comes from that.
12-5-5. Remember, Zoe Miller had the lead by half a point after 2 rotations. So we go over to Ashley Sullivan, the 16-year-old from Richardson, Texas. 3rd straight appearance at Winter Cup, but this time on the heels of a pretty bad elbow injury that required surgery, kept her from straightening her arm for about 4 months. This, her first competition since that injury in April of 2022.
And this is a strong event for her. She's extremely powerful. Instead of doing a double layout full, she's doing a double laid out. It should be her first pass right here. Looks like she's playing it safe, just did the full. Double layout dismount. This floor routine is new for her, and she said, I really like the choreography because it helps me connect with the judges. Getting her back to the competition floor from that pretty serious injury that she had last year. And she said she really has tried hard not to let this injury affect her. She said, I still do the skill, and honestly, it's a confidence booster in a way. I feel like I took 15 steps back and 16 steps forward. That's how hard she's been working.
Talk to any athlete, it's the mental side of coming back from an injury that is the toughest. Ashley Sullivan, Larry Lukin hugs after that routine. Back in Louisville, where the Louisville Cardinals played basketball for many years. Denny Crum, the Hall of Famer, led them to a couple of national championships. Today, all about gymnastics. Over to beam, and Alicia Zhou, the 15-year-old, trains in San Antonio, getting set. In 11th place after 2 rotations.
We've been talking about just how important artistry is on floor, but it's actually a huge point of emphasis for balance beam too. You're gonna notice that these girls have been training extra performance quality, and it might even look different than the past few cycles, because on beam, the judges can take 1.2, up to 1.2 deductions just on artistry.
It's early season for the judges too. It's taken them a while to figure out the numbers today.
It is. It's just, they're putting that extra pressure on these athletes to ice them out.
Right.
Force them to be strong with their mental cues, because we bring this up a lot, but it's really important in the sport, especially with situations like this, when you have to wait and wait, and it feels like 100 years before you get to salute. It's really important to have positive self-talk, move your body around. Hopefully she's experienced this in the developmental program, so she knows how she enjoys, or not enjoys, no one likes to enjoy this, but how she handles this pause.
You talk visualization as an athlete, and this I would think would be part of it. I mean, I would think you'd try to prepare this way as well for delays, and you're standing there waiting forever.
You do. A lot of times in the gym, you'll practice competition routines, and that means you salute and kind of close your eyes, imagine the crowd, imagine the judges, and sometimes you should even practice holding in situations like this because it really does affect a performance.
Success at the junior level, U.S. Championships, third in the all-around in 2022. Competed at the Winter Cup on the junior level as well. Was ninth in the all-around last year. Okay, they are computerized, right, the numbers?
They are computerized. I'm a bit confused on who they're calling, not who they're calling or what they're talking about.
They're phoning a friend right now.
Yeah, they're phoning a friend. It's a judges conference is what it is. Not quite sure what they're chatting about. It must have been a disagreement in the routine prior, but unfortunately for Alicia, she's really at the brunt of what's going on right now.
Is there an apparatus where it makes a bigger difference than others?
Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
It's definitely the hardest event to be iced out. But look, she took a step off the mat. Her coach went up there. They're handling it exactly how they should. I actually would like to see her kind of move her arms around, shake her body out, maybe even turn away from the beam until she's confident that they are ready.
They're on the phone with video review is what we're being told. So taking another look at a past routine. Not sure which one.
But it looks like they're inputting the score now. So hopefully she'll be able to salute and get things going here soon. I'm actually curious what her mental talk is right now. Hopefully it's positive. Sometimes in this situation, Terry, I'm like, you know what? Because they made me wait this long, I'm going to show them just how great this routine can be.
You are right about maybe walking away. I mean, take other sports, basketball for instance, many guys at the free throw line, players will not walk up there until the official's ready to hand them the ball. You don't want to lock in until that moment, and she's been standing there for quite some time. Yeah,
usually you have a certain few phrases you say to yourself before you get things going. You don't prepare for like 10 minutes. Oh, no.
You just wonder.
And you know, I have to shout out the judges. Obviously, they're not trying to take that long or have a judging conference. And then, of course, when an athlete has a mistake, they probably do feel really bad. But again, good to know where her weak spots are and maybe going to go back in the gym and practice waiting before she salutes to tighten up that mental choreography. Beautiful triple series though, no deductions that I saw there. Good rhythm from start to finish. And you see her just took a little wobble on a pose, and again, that to me, a wobble on a pose means it's a nervous deduction. Nice front aerial. In order to get that connection, she's going to want to keep her arms moving from the front aerial into the leaps. Finishing round off double full. And good job picking it up back after a mistake. You never want to have a mistake, but she was able to finish it strong.
Alicia Zhou, the 15-year-old who trains in San Antonio after the long wait. And we'll get the numbers as we continue from Louisville. It's been Zoe Miller who's had the lead for a while, taking that lead into the final rotation. So one more left to go here at the Winter Cup in Louisville. Some of the names that you may know, but others we're just getting to know. On the road to Paris in 2024, Terry Gannon back with Sam Pesek. How about the mindset now? You look up, you're in the mix. You're leading, Zoe Miller, you're in the top three going into that final rotation.
Well, these athletes have been tested a lot already. It's the first elite competition of the year. They've had to be iced out for these competitions. They're throwing in upgrades. There's a lot of variables in this competition. And to your point, going into that last rotation, it's another mental test to see if they can handle the pressure from the consistency from the beginning of the routine all the way to the end.
Zoe Miller, certainly a name that's right there and in the lead throughout here. But anybody else stand out either today or even this week watching them train?
Yeah, Nola Matthews is really standing out today. And of course, Lexi Zeiss is in the 3rd place spot. She's not doing as much difficulty as we know that she can do, but she's an athlete that has really struggled in training. Actually, we saw a lot of these athletes struggling in the training last couple days. And to me, it's a positive sign to see them show up, be gamers, and know how to handle their mental game during the competition.
It's been better in competition, hasn't it, than
Absolutely.
in podium training?
Yep, absolutely. They're not at the level where they have the consistency and the numbers to be so accurate every single time, but the fact that they can be gamers and do their best when their best is needed, it's a positive spin for me.
So Nola Matthews, one of those in the mix here in 2nd place after 3 rotations. Zoe Miller the lead. Lexi Zeiss, who we've seen plenty of so far today, rounding out the top 3. Ashley Sullivan in the 4th spot. So one more left to go here. How different, you touched on it, we talk about it, but the podium as opposed to what you're used to in the gym training every day.
The podium adds an extra bounce. So depending on the event, we're looking at balance beam right now. So when the beam is sitting on the podium, it really makes it a little bit more wobbly, and so the way you handle that is actually taking longer to land each skill, just to make sure you're secure before moving on.
All right, 4th rotation underway now.
Little wobble there, and again, she's in that 2nd spot. This is going to be a huge meet for her. If she can continue her standings there, this is an important one. Back handspring layout. I'd like to see more confidence in those landings. But an athlete like Nola, the artistry emphasis is actually a good thing for her because she naturally shows off her routine. She has great lines in her dance. And if you look closely, you can actually see her mouthing her cues. Sometimes you need to say them out loud just to make sure nothing negative is in there in the middle of your routine. But she's doing a nice job flowing from her skills to the dance. And that's something the judges look for. Finishing round off double back. Great catch on the landing there. And a big sigh of relief, especially when you made a couple wobbles but didn't come off the beam. You're like, wow, I fought through that one.
We'll see. Could be a big day for Nola Matthews. So we go over to Lexi Zeiss. We've seen her. This is the final rotation now. John, do you have more?
Yeah, you know, everybody talks about how much pressure these athletes are under, but they forget about the parents. I was just in the concourse and I ran into Lexi Zeiss's dad, Jess, pacing the concourse, and he said, "This is so tough." And he looked stressed out and nervous. You forget about the parents. Poor Jess up there. Hopefully he got down in time to see this bar routine.
Or maybe not. Or maybe still pacing the concourse. Still, you can't watch. So, moment ago, Lexi Zeiss.
Even though she was an alternate on that Worlds team, apparently her dad was the loudest voice and the biggest Team USA supporter in the crowd. You always love to see that. Nice start to the beginning of this routine. She's not throwing all of her skills since it's been a fast turnaround, but she wants everyone to know that there's a lot of upgrades to come. This will be nice if she can hit a really solid step since this is her base routine. It's a nice job. She has minimal execution deductions throughout that routine. Even though she's a powerful athlete, she also can swing bars.
No reason to be nervous and pace the concourse. 13.5 on uneven bars. check the numbers, the overall numbers at the end here. Remember, total score of 51 qualifies athletes to the U.S. Championships in San Jose. 12-7 for beam Nola Matthews.
Yeah, you could see she got dinged for those little balance checks here and there.
And her total's over 52, so that would qualify into second place in the all-around. Zoe Miller in first, heading into the final rotation. You're on floor.
Nice double layout, good stretch body position in the flip. Another out of bounds. We see that's a common theme that a couple of the gymnasts have made that mistake today. The key for her on this floor routine is those good landings on her tumbling. So even though she has had a really good day getting back to the competition, I know she's going to be hungry to work more on controlling those landings, getting the chest up, and really handling the extra adrenaline in a competition setting.
Cecile Laurent Landy, her coaches, obviously a big influence. Simone Biles there at the gym. So we need a 13-1 to take the lead here in this last rotation. Ashley Sullivan, in the meantime, moment ago on vault in fourth. We mentioned after 3 rotations. Here's what she did.
The key for her is getting a good block and having a controlled landing. Well, I saw a good block, and the landing, I'd like to see her get that twist around. So she made one of the 2 goals that she had on vault for herself here.
13.6, that's good enough to get to 52.75, the total, into second in the all-around. So again, 13.1 is what Zoe Miller needs to take the lead here in the last rotation. She's held it in the last couple of rotations. Trying to take a big step for an athlete who's committed to LSU after she graduates 2023 from high school, but of course may defer to after Paris. Just staring up the board right now, just waiting for the number.
It's always a little nerve-wracking because you want to see how you stack up, especially this early in the season. Think about what you need to go back in the gym and work on. But for her, the goal was to put a consistent, clean routine across all 4 events. She said she'll probably add more skills, so looking towards classics and championships, I bet we can expect some upgrades, especially since it was really consistent across the board here.
Lexi Zeiss in the lead right now. Her meet is done. Just waiting for the number as well. Looking up at the board to see if it will be 53.2, her number that leads it, or Zoe Miller. Again, that 51 number important to pass that to get a spot at the U.S. Championships.
It's a good competition because they've been out of it for so long. They did have a national team training camp in January that both of them were at.
12-4, Sam. So into fourth. Zoe Miller, who had the lead, disappointing, and Lexi Zeiss looks up. We're not done yet, but that is your leader right now here in the final rotation.
And unfortunately for Zoe, it was those landings that did it for her.
So Zoe Miller in fourth right now. Actually, Sullivan in second. Nola Matthews rounding out the top three.
You're not done?
Floor for world champions, Jordis Eichmann.
To go to floor, Jordis Eichmann, a 16-year-old from Porter, Texas, who's in 5th place after 3 rotations.
Opens this routine with a tuck full end. You can see they're using a sting mat. That's just a little extra cushion early in the season to protect those ankles. Beautiful combination work. No problems on the landing. It's interesting. She over-rotated that last pass, and the third pass was under-rotated, so she fixed the problem, but almost overdid it.
Looking perhaps for a top 3 finish in 5th after 3 rotations. We need a 14-3 to go into first place. So a bit much. Lexi Zeiss right now, the leader here in the final rotation of 2023 Winter Cup. Lexi Zeiss, the current leader here in the final rotation, part of the group and training mates who have come here with a very special message. Sending their best to Braxton Battaglia, 13-year-old training mate who's battling cancer right now, part of Team Brax.
Hey, Brax, we love you.
Member of that team right now with the lead, the 17-year-old from Omaha, Lexi Zeiss. The 2023 Winter Cup is brought to you by Angie. Angie's List is now Angie for home projects big and small. Get the Angie app today. By Wayfair and by Prevagen. Here in Louisville, inside Freedom Hall, winding down the final rotation here at the 2023 Winter Cup. A few more athletes to go, but Lexi Zeiss firmly in first place. She's standing by with John.
Yeah, we're down here multitasking. She said she'd do an interview while her teammate is warming up for this last rotation. There you go. Lexi, you are the leader in the clubhouse. It looks very good, like this is going to be your all-around title to win. Talk about not just today's competition, but in perspective with what kind of week you guys have had, because it's been an adventurous one for you all.
Yeah, for sure. We left Minnesota on Monday. It got like 29 inches of snow, so we ended up going to my hometown of Nebraska and training there for a few days, and just tons of new equipment. So for us to be able to come out here and just do what we did, and just with the circumstances, is amazing.
So you were alternate on the World Championship team. You come in here and it looks like you're going to get this all-around title. What has the last 6 months meant to your gymnastics career looking forward?
I would say just it's brought so much confidence to me, proved that I can do it, and getting up on things and not being nervous and just, you know, showing what I have and the new stuff I have. So it's definitely not been what I dreamed of, but it's insane, and I couldn't have imagined it going this way.
Well, congratulations on your performance and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Future in TV, playing right to camera.
She is such a presence. When we interviewed her, she has a great personality, so mature, and you know, you can see it right there, very comfortable in front of the camera too.
Talked about that experience as an alternate on the World Championship team too. So many athletes would look back and be disappointed. Depends on where you are in your career, no doubt about it, but it's really important to experience that, to achieve that.
Yeah, I appreciate her mindset in looking back. She said it was an incredible experience, but you know she wants to compete. She said that, I want to compete next time. So
Sure.
adds a little extra fire in training, and I know she's wanting to work harder in the gym to solidify her spot on the team this year.
Well, pick this up earlier. GE. What's this all about?
Before she competes, she said she always writes GE with a Sharpie on her wrist, and it stands for good enough. She said, I didn't always used to be a consistent athlete because I was too nervous. I was trying to be too perfect, so I figured I didn't need to be perfect. I just needed to do my best, and I just needed to be good enough.
Yeah, remind yourself, perspective, how it fits in, take pressure off. And every athlete's different, of course. Worked out here, and it's worked out in her young career to this point. We'll see. Certainly one of those names. You come into this event this week and you say, okay, there's so many gymnasts trying to take that next step. Make sure we know their name in this run-up to the Olympics in Paris. But a Skye Blakely, a Lexi Zeiss, were already known to some extent.
They were. They've been part of those teams, but if I'm honest, they've been overshadowed. So it's great for Lexi to come out here, put nice 4 routines together, even though it's not the hardest routine she can do, and get this all-around title.
Pineda, the 15-year-old from Allen, Texas, underway in this last rotation on uneven bars.
Beautiful bar work so far. Ooh. Wow, mistake. Looked like she tried to cover that. Actually, for what it could have been, minimal deductions there. Great fight from her. Good catch. And you know what I like? Not that. I don't like that. She didn't try to do that, but you could hear all of the athletes who, by the way, are not her teammates, cheering for her on the side. Everyone's really in this together. They know how difficult it is at an elite competition to compete here.
Timing is everything, isn't it, Sam?
It is.
15 years of age, who competed, Michelle Pineda, on the junior level, start the U.S. Championships and also the Winter Cup, where she came in 8th in the uneven bars, but now at this level with that support.
And of course, Lexi Zeiss and Caitlyn Rosen. They're definitely 2 of the most vocal athletes in this competition, but they've been cheering this loud for everybody here. I love that.
But also living it, too, the reaction on a little bit of trouble, too.
They were like, ooh, we know what that feels like. Sometimes you just overshoot that cast handstand, and they were really feeling it with her.
You got this, girl.
Are you beyond that, actually feeling it when there's a struggle?
Terry, I'm not that old.
No,
Jeez.
no, but as soon as you step aside, I mean, you try to put the bad part aside.
You do, but when you look at it, when I saw her cast over, it's almost a feeling in your stomach that you're like, ooh, tighten up, because a save is so hard to do, and it's so much mental and physical endurance there to pick it back up after a mistake.
Good to have your teammates alongside, your training mates when things go wrong, but also when you win, when you have great success.
You know, something I really like about this whole TCT Twin City Twisters crew is that they always try to have fun. I mean, look at them right now. It's a high-pressure competition here in the elite world. They're not doing easy gymnastics, and Lexi actually said that to me. She said, I really appreciate the environment that Sarah Jancy has cultivated for us. We focus on the team aspect a lot. There she is, right there. They focus on the team aspect, which you don't always see a ton until you get to the college setting, and that's something that she's tried to bring into these elite athletes to help them have a more positive experience and to enjoy the journey, because let's face it, it's a tough sport and it's pretty monotonous, so it's good to see them having fun.
Well, your training mates you're competing against, so it's, I mean, yes, they're your team, quote unquote, but you're in competition against them. You saw Miller step up there on uneven bars, also a part of that contingent that they'll be cheering for. Of course, if you're Lexi Zeiss, you can cheer even easier because you know you've wrapped it up. Not officially, there are a few more athletes going, but
That's
mathematically, she cannot lose that top spot. Highly unlikely, at least. Let's put it that way.
Perfect handstand to get things going. She has a nice line on this event. Really works it around. Nice back salto to the low bar. That's a transition element. Quickly to the high bar. Doing a nice job keeping the rhythm consistent from start to finish here. Just the dismount, double front, and that's actually maybe the best one I've seen over the past couple days, and you could see it in her face just how much of a relief she had there.
And you could hear the training mates. High fives all around after that routine for Elle Miller, the 17-year-old from Minnesota and the uneven bars bronze medalist at the Winter Cup 2022. So it's not official, but Lexi Zeiss, the top number here from the 2023 Winter Cup. And remember, complete coverage of this event, you can go to youtube.com/USA Gymnastics. Coming up next, it is round 3 of the Honda Classic on the PGA Tour. Sam Pescic, John Roethlisberger, and our entire NBC Sports crew. I'm Terry Gannon saying goodbye from Louisville, Kentucky, and the 2023 Gymnastics Winter Cup.